Okay, yes, the pre-questions need to be done, and then, after the pre-questions, you can go right onto the email that Mr. Bruno sent, there's a link, go to that. Kate, you already did it, but, Marilyn, if you go there, you'll link right to this, and then you scroll all the way down, okay? And it's the pre-knowledge.
So if you go to the email he sent out,
There's a link, yeah, that Mr. Bruno sent out.
He sent it
No,
out
yesterday he sent it out.
Mhm.
There it goes.
So we are, go here?
Yeah, this is the professional development that goes up. You see how it goes to all of these, which is really nice, it's a running record. So this is ours, is recording and representing knowledge, having students show what they know. So if you scroll all the way down, it's the pre-knowledge, you can answer those questions. And you also have, after the questions, if you could look at this learning scale, because we are introducing a learning scale for just doing a self-evaluation on where you believe your level is at the beginning of this PD, as far as scaling yourself into 1, 2, 3, and 4. A is 1, B will be 2, C will be 3, and D will be 4. We're gonna do clickers. So, and then we'll do it again at the end. So this is kind of just modeling how you can use this in your class for, self-reflection for our students, and also to see, where your kids are. I mean, as far as a whole, you could also go into even further data, and we'll take a look at the collecting data for the students too. Here, I just start out with the learning goal, with the learning scale.
And that's whatever you use for your e-sample. Mine's the 2 letters, 2 numbers, 2 letters, 2 numbers.
We'll just have her just go on then, I don't know. Canvas, you haven't, what about your Munis login? Do you have
That is what I use.
any other login? Do you have any other login at all? You
That's
have
a
to
lot,
have.
right, just that, right?
Yeah, go ahead and, put it in again. Do 2 letters, 2 numbers, 2 letters, 2 numbers. Okay, give me your 2 letters.
MA 02 DE.
Which is probably one. She has
You're
trouble
gonna
with
have-
this often because her passwords are weird. They're not what we use.
Go ahead and, do a request, and then we'll move on, you could just look on, okay, until you can figure out what the deal is, because you're gonna have to go through Canvas. And I'm gonna give you some information about Canvas. I'm gonna tell you that Canvas Chat, okay, is amazing. That, if you have a problem with Canvas, I had a problem with one of the videos, loading it up on Canvas for this PD. It wasn't working, the link worked, but the actual video itself, the
So like the
picture.
help, Canvas chat?
No, it's chat, it's not, you go through the help me up and you pick the chat, and it'll bring up a window, a chat window, and somebody automatically says, welcome, how may I help you?
Oh.
I did it the other night, like at 9 o'clock at night, and he looked at my page, and if you give him the URL that, of the problem, of where the problem is, he went onto my URL, looked at it, it was a fluke in how the video for some reason wasn't converting. He fixed it, within 5 minutes he had it up and running. And I emailed him back and I said, I texted him back, I said, what was the problem? Could you tell me so I don't do it again, He told me because it was a fluke, it was one of those fluke things. And this happened, 5 minutes, solved my problem. So really, Canvas Chat is really wonderful.
Okay.
All right, so we're looking at the learning scale, and the reason we did a learning scale was because we just wanted to model what what we want to do in our classrooms. We do it pretty much even in a PD. Of course, if there were more students here or teachers here, you have more, we have more of a response, as far as the data,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. So, the scale itself, all right, addresses the desired effect, okay, from, this particular element, which is recording and representing knowledge. Now, I just want you to understand my thought process on how I developed this scale for participants. Of course, I went ahead through, the target goal is the 3, all right, which is just like your standards. That's where your standard goes in 3, because that's proficiency. So teachers will be able to implement strategies for their students to accurately record and represent their understanding of critical content in linguistic and or non-linguistic ways. That's our target goal. That's where we want to be proficient. Okay? Now above that, I went ahead, and this was it took me a little time to process this and try to figure out what would logically be the next level up to go above and beyond. In order to collect data on students' most productive learning style. Okay, so to really get to know your kid's learning style, all right, you'll be able to analyze their use of strategies for accurately recording and representing their understanding of critical content in linguistic or non-linguistic ways. Well, what does that actually mean? It actually means you're going to, after, let's say, a unit, okay, and you assess them, or you have activities you assess their learning, their understanding, okay? You look and you can use something like clickers, okay, to see, or some kind of an app or what am I thinking of, a collection of data form, whatever it may be, whether it's electronic or not electronic, but to look and see, what kind of responses are you getting from students? How are they representing their knowledge to you? Are they representing it more linguistically, more non-linguistically? Now, of course, this is only if you're giving them the options, right? So, and that's huge, all right? You have to give them to best serve our kids for best practices, you really need to give them options. If a student wants to do something, do an assignment, do a project, okay, to show their learning, how they're learning, that they do understand what's being taught, you should give them the option to do the electronic version and we're going to show you examples or not, but let them be responsible for their technology. Okay, you do not need to know everything that they're using. All you need to know is that content, okay, is included and that they can explain themselves. Okay, they can explain so you could pretty much tell that they've learned, or that they're having difficulty, or that it's all been, that's where you want to really avoid, try to be able to decipher, are they showing you what they know? Do they know this? And the articles that I passed out to you are really, read them on your own leisure time, because these are awesome articles
So you can
about,
take these?
yes.
Okay.
And it really explains to you how it'll help you along on how to be able to assess students on what they learned in a non-linguistic format. So, and then 2 and 1 is, you could look at that as far as your understanding for, teachers should be able to recognize specific strategies. That's basically your basics. Everybody should be able to do that if you're a teacher. And then teachers should be able to describe strategies for their students to accurately record and represent their understanding of critical content in linguistic and non-linguistic ways. Notice that the linguistic and non-linguistic is not mentioned here, but it starts in 2.0. Now, what I want you to do is I'm going to go ahead and I have the question up here. Before we move forward, I want you on your sheet right here. This is part of clickers, okay?
Yeah.
They're all different diagrams. They're different. They're not the same. But A, B, C, D, and you will each have a number. Your number 2, your number 3, okay? You're student number 3. But you're going to respond either, depending on what level you are on the scale, A being 1, B being 2, C being 3, D being 4. So you have to turn your card over to the level that you believe that you are right now. So, if you are a, let's say a 2, you will put B on top. If you are a 1, you'll put A on top, and then I'm gonna scan it, and you're gonna hold it up with your fingers kind of on the edges here. And I'm just gonna scan it. You can scan this with your iPhone. Okay, so you're gonna turn it around, but your fingers have to be away from, yeah. I'm gonna hold it up a little bit more because, and I know your fingers are, okay, gotcha, okay. Oh, okay. All right, so we have, and this shows, I could have my students' names in here and I could see who's who, all right? You don't have to have it up here, so you don't want to have students' names up here, but you do see a graph and you see, okay, I started out, I have a B and I have a C, okay? I have a B and I have a C. So it tells you where your kids are right to start off from. And then I could clear it, and then at the end of the class, then I could see, okay, what do I have to, where, how did we improve? And that's what we're looking for, improvement. We don't need to get to, eventually we want to get to 3, okay? But if you're not at a 3, at least get one notch up or get closer to it, or you feel a little bit more comfortable, okay? And if you don't, that's okay too. All right, so instructional framework resources, this is really important. This is exactly where you go into to see your DP, to find out what your desired effects are, and to find out what it looks like, what you're going to be observed on, okay? What tool is going to be used for observation, which this is really amazing. Now this is actually a course, so I just linked it to a course already in Canvas, but it's on RPD, so you don't have to worry about having to go to another course. So, if you scroll down, ours is helping students record and represent knowledge. That's what we're here for. What you're going to get your desired effect, all right, which for us, our desired effect is element number 12, students accurately record and represent their understanding of critical content in linguistic and non-linguistic ways, which is our 3. And then our protocol for representing knowledge, which is what your administrator is going to use for a tool when they're observing you, which is over here too, okay? So to get innovative, okay, the scale is right there for you to see. Sample, example of the teacher evidence, example of student evidence. So it's all right there. That's for all of your elements, which is important to look at and memorize, know it, for when you're being observed, which I did, okay? And as you keep going down, you have more information about defining the element, connections to other elements, and then here, I'm going to hand it over to Jan, who's been hogging it. Strategies for implementing. This is really nice because this gives you a list of strategies, and of course it's not everything inclusive, and you'll be familiar with some of these.
Okay, I really like, they don't do this in every one of the elements, but I always love it when we're looking at one and they give us like a whole menu of things that we can try with our students. If we're going to be observed in it and how we can get better at a certain, in one of the certain DQs that we might be doing. And this represents both linguistic and non-linguistic forms of children representing information. Now, the big thing that Marzano says that we as teachers do wrong, and I know why we do it wrong, is that we don't take enough time to teach the strategies to the children first. It's very hard when we have all this curriculum to do to take the 2 or 3 days out to actually teach them the strategies. However, from what I have found, if I say the heck with it and I do that anyway, I find I'm able to catch up later on down the road because the kids know what they're doing and I'm not constantly correcting them. I think we're pretty good in a lot of the linguistic strategies because as a school we've studied them. for so many years, and we've come up with so many different things that we do. So today I was asked to share my interactive notebook, which I see that you're trying one this year. And are you doing one this year also? And also some non-linguistic forms of recording data. So tell me about your interactive notebooks. What are you finding?
I like doing it a lot. I think it's hard to grade,
Yes.
go back through and grade it type
Yes,
thing.
it is.
So, unless I spot grade, which is what I've been doing.
And I find that the information I do get, though, is so much more valuable than just a multiple choice quiz. Although you guys write papers all the time, so maybe you were already getting some of that, so I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
you're
mean,
doing.
I'm used to, sometimes we're writing in it, sometimes it's a foldable, sometimes there are other things, so it's kind of, I wanna have ideas of different things that I can do, so they're not always doing the same.
The same thing. I can give you some samples of my interactive notebooks. I can tell you that I started interactive notebooks only a few years ago. I've always done a notebook with the kids, but I've never done an interactive notebook. And I really wish that I'd been doing this for my last 20 years of teaching. Because I find, number one, it really organizes the kids. Everything has a place, and we'll show a little video later where you can see kind of how I set it up in the classroom. The kids, when they come into my classroom, they know exactly what goes on what page. So there's none of that. Plus I have my own notebook, the teacher notebook in the front, so if they're absent, they can look and see. But what I like about it is that kids, if I'm using it progressively, which I do, through a unit, kids can go back and they can look at their starting point. What was my concept when I started? What have I learned along the way? And then, do some analysis. So I have like kind of an example of some of the things I do. I have it marked off in one of them. I do something at the
My students are doing this.
Okay. All right, well, what I do is I have something called like an AHA Connections page, okay? And at the end of each little lesson that we do, each little lesson, they have a line of learning where they have to go ahead and put down what they've learned, and then they've got to come back and talk about it. And just briefly, and then as we do the unit, they'll start connecting things to different things. And this is the major question that we're studying, let's say in the unit. But they'll find that maybe when they learn this, oh, wait a minute, that connects to what we learned here. And that all connects to this. And then at the end of the unit, when I'm done at the unit, what they do is they write an AHA thesis, okay? Where they're taking all of the thoughts that we learned and they're writing what they learned, and they're using the evidence that they gained, etc. As far as the notebook itself, it has all different kinds of things in it. It has linguistic and non-linguistic. I mean, we write sometimes, we do graphs, we do diagrams, but we start each unit with something, what the unit is, with our AHA connection pages where they're writing their thoughts, and then we end the unit with everything we've done in it, with a thesis of what they've learned, and a self-reflection on how they feel they did. And there's certain questions they're asked.
I'm just hearing theses and I'm thinking history fair, 8th grade, so I'm gonna share that during my PLC.
Well, a lot of people figure science, you don't write. Well, how do scientists share their knowledge with the rest of the world? And I explain this to my kids all the time. A scientist has to document their findings and they have to share it, they have to write. And pretty much, in almost every assignment, and see, this is a new AHA connection page because we've started a new unit.
So they continuously add to this
Yes.
as they
Yes.
just, get an aha, like, oh, okay, that's that.
Yes.
This is not done at one time.
No.
This is,
The light bulb is what we're studying, and that is set up And then as they do each lesson,
Yeah, so like here, it looks like they did a gum lab, so they, after the gum lab, they did
she made,
this.
yeah.
Okay, so you, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's like 7 different
And it
lessons that they came back
It
with.
depends, and sometimes the kids, you gotta get on them, sometimes they might not have had them all in there when they should have, but if they do, it makes that aha thesis easier to write. And I point out to them that that's what writers do. When I used to have to write papers, I would have little note cards of my thoughts, and then I'd be able to put those together to make a paper. You know, so this is their little note cards, except they're not losing them.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not losing or misplacing them. If I do foldables, they go in there. You know, anything I do, even worksheets. Worksheets will go in the notebook, and everything has a page, everything has a spot. And they're supposed to, even if they're doing a worksheet, at the end of each, we do something called Alliance of Learning, where they're telling me what they learned, they're telling me what they still have questions about, and what they still don't understand. And then they have to go the step further because they are scientists. They have to go the step further and tell me how could they find the answer? What lab could they do to help support or to help find their
And that's
answer?
each class period they do that? Or
Well,
each-
one lab usually takes about 2 class periods.
Okay.
We usually the input, if I'm doing a lab, I have my input page where they're gathering the data and doing the lab. And then the output page usually comes the next day. Now, when we used to have the long extended periods, I could have done it in one day, your
Right.
lab and your lab report.
Yeah.
But now, they're only in middle school, we have to break it up.
Mhm.
So I love it, like you say, it is hard to grade, it takes me longer to grade. And I collect them, and it takes, because I do read it all, and write notes and stuff, and it takes me a long time. But I really feel it's beneficial in the sense that I know where the kids' misconceptions are. I know where they've made a mistake in reasoning, and I can go back and go over it. So, some kids fight, they don't want to write a lot, of course you know that, being in language arts, but, because I do this, I have to share that I have been in conferences even this year where the language arts teacher has said, I can't get he or she to write anything, and I'll say, oh wait, I have a writing sample. And I'll bring out my science notebook, and there'll be, in that aha thesis, there'll be
They have
something.
that concrete thing to be able to pull together, and that
Yes.
is what sometimes language arts is harder for them.
Yes.
If they're doing stuff, they're reading,
But if we did something like that, then they would
they would
have it.
have it.
Because they could use this even as a graphic organizer when they were reading stuff and had to write something afterwards, they could do their little ahas around it. I mean,
And in the
I
beginning,
like this a lot.
in the beginning of the book, I have directions on how each of these things are done. So if you're interested, and they have to keep that on the first 8 pages, a picture of themselves, because they make that their own notebook.
Okay.
Okay, so what I could do, if you girls are interested, I know it's based towards science, but you could get ideas, I'll get you these first 8 pages.
Yeah, I would love it. I
And,
love it.
okay, but this explains like how to write the aha connections theses, once they, do that. And this I like a lot too, this is a self-reflection.
Yes.
And in this, they have
That's really
to,
nice.
they have to pick some assignments from the left and the right, and they have to say what they did and how they could do better.
I like
So
that.
I'll get those in your boxes,
Yeah.
next week, if you're interested.
Did you have to get all this yourself? Or
I actually purchased a book
Oh, okay.
that is called Interactive Notebooks in the Science Classroom.
Okay.
And I
Is there one?
read it read it and studied it and decided that I liked
It takes
it.
a lot of time for, like, it would take a couple of years to really have that thing be the way you want it
It
and know that
does,
it works.
it does.
Yeah,
The
that's-
first year I did it, I thought I'm gonna be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I brought it into the science department, and some teachers did a little bit of it, some teachers did a little bit more. I decided, okay, Jen, you're gonna dive off the high dive, and if you hit the bottom of the pool, oh well, we're gonna try it.
Yeah.
And I dove in with both feet, and there definitely is a learning curve, as far as, I found the learning curve wasn't so much doing this stuff, The learning curve for me was how much support the kids needed for each thing.
Right,
They need a lot of support to start for the whole thing.
but then
Okay,
they start getting.
but then they get it, and once it clicks, you know, so this year there was a lot of conversation about how are we gonna do the interactive notebook, because we start with curriculum day one and we've got these quarter tests. And I said, you know what, I'm doing my interactive notebook, because I know the kids learn science in my class, and this helps both them and myself. And we're a little bit behind for first quarter, but I'm hoping, you know, now my kids are getting really good at it. I'm hoping that by, you know, next quarter we'll catch up, and by third quarter we'll catch up even more, because my kids will know what to do.
Yeah,
And
So-
this, what do they just switch these
This
out?
I switch out, this I switch out. This is the one I'm not the best at, you
Yeah,
know.
yep.
I'm pretty bad at this, but this is their table of
Or you can
contents.
at least keep adding on top of it.
Yes, you could add on top of it, and I'll get you one of those too.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that's,
Do you have that electronic or no?
I don't have it electronic, I have a book, and the science department has a book. Where I got the idea was the science supervisor sent one per school, and nobody was interested in it, and I'm reading the book and I'm like, I like this. I don't like the way I'm doing my notebook, I like this.
Yeah.
So I bought my own, I studied it over the summer and figured out what I wanted to do. And I brought a couple of different examples, because some kids are, you know, the best of the best, and others aren't as good, but I find that all students participate, all my students participate. I find it's really, really good. Yeah, if I'm doing a foldable, I do it right in there, and you notice they all should have some kind of lines of learning for each lesson. Oh, and they add paper if they run out, if something
Right.
goes on a particular page. This was my assignment for this page. This child ran out of paper. They can't go to this page or the next page, which is the
that's-
hardest thing for
I
them
find
to
it-
get.
Yeah, because I'm
You
like,
know?
oh, I never
So
did that.
they have to add. They have to add, and they can add to the side, they can add, like this kid I think added a lot to the side.
is this glue or tape? I'm just
They can
curious.
tape it or glue it, the thing that they should not do is staple it.
Okay.
Because if they staple it, it gets all,
Bunched up.
Yeah.
Okay.
and I let them be creative, like this was a lab, I mean, this child decided that he wanted to make his own foldable. I didn't tell him to do that, he did that for his results, which I thought was very creative.
And this is all in class?
Yes,
Wow.
mine's in classroom.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't really.
Yeah, because if they're taking this home, I could just imagine when it's gonna come
Do you
back
keep
to
them
the
in
class.
no,
Okay.
they keep them in their notebook, that part,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
Yes, it's in
managing.
class, but their homework for me is if you did not finish because you were
Right.
goofing off,
They do
then you
take
need
it
to
home.
finish. Yeah,
I would
I-
let take it.
the
It's
only
a
time I
nightmare
stored
passing all
their-
this stuff out, collecting it all.
the only time I store their notebook is when I'm grading it. And then I have piles, and then I try and start grading a different class each time. Because the first class, you know, the last class to get graded, I have it for the longest. You know, because
Yeah.
I go through and I look at it and I make sure all
What are
the
they
lab
working in when you're rated, when you collect them?
They take their notebook and work in their notebook at the beginning of class, and then at the end of class, they will
Put it back there?
put it back. And I'll tell them what section of the notebook I'm grading.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna grade the assignment we're doing today,
right, okay.
you know,
I got
you know what I'm saying, so, and it takes a while. And of course, if we're having a test, all the notebooks have to be graded and handed back to them, because it's a great study tool for them, you know.
I
So-
really like how you, opportunity for them to be artistic one for this.
Mhm. Yes.
Then they do this to connect everything, and then at the end, they do the reflection, and
Yes,
to me, that brings it all together. Like right now, I'm doing things where we
Yeah.
have the input,
Me
output,
too.
they're writing some things, or depending on what the activity is. But I like the beginning and the end of yours, because it brings it all
Yes.
together and relates it. Because we could do that for our
Mhm.
units, of
Yes.
making your voice heard, and then they could do those little connections of, well, how is this representative to make your voice heard? And they would have to come up with that,
that,
so.
yes.
I like that a lot.
I do too.
Well, I will get
They're
you,
much more developed.
Because it gets them more thinking about what they're doing, and it's not just, you know,
It's connections. I mean,
Right,
there's it's
that's-
connected and there's a
yeah.
purpose and there's a closure
Yes.
and then you move on.
I like
It's not just boom.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
stuff, and I
Right.
think that mine right now,
is a little bit more stuff and it's not as focused as I want it to be, that's why.
But it's the first time you guys are doing this.
Right.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
right.
All of the language arts teachers in sixth grade are
Yeah.
doing them, and we're doing them a little bit differently depending on our classes.
Right.
Mhm.
And some of the science teachers are doing this
Yeah.
differently, and some of them have gone about and said, no, Jan, we're dropping,
Yeah.
going right into what you're doing now, after we've done it a couple of years,
Yeah.
because they've seen the benefit.
Well.
And what they were doing was not giving them the same results that I have.
Right.
But I will go ahead and get you those first 8 pages. Oh, no problem.
This just
Let's
makes
look
what
at
we're
this.
doing more effective.
Now,
All right,
this is
this
just
says, this just says interactive notebook.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with science, per se. AHA connections. Well, this might,
Oh, that's cool. That's what you're talking about.
yeah,
That's a
this
little
you might
sciencey,
wanna
yeah.
change a little bit.
We could, then we
Because
can-
this says investigations, but you could change it out to whatever you
Oh,
want.
sure, right.
This explains what, you could still have a trigger, a big problem, evidence,
Yeah.
you could still have all of those things. So, but you can go ahead and change it the way you want. And then, well, you see, these unfortunately fell out.
Yeah.
But there's directions, there's 8 pages. You don't necessarily have to do this. I like to do it, they have it here and here. The picture makes it their own. Not everybody brings in a picture, but I give extra points if they do.
Yeah.
But it's telling them what's your left side, what's your right side. You would change this a little bit, obviously you're not doing labs or
Right.
data, but you could, I'll give it to you as an example and
Yeah,
you
we
can
can
make it
modify it,
for you.
Yeah.
And then, again, this talks about the AHA pages, how you construct them, and you could still have a light bulb in the middle,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And then how to write the AHA theses and how to write a self-reflection.
I like that,
So.
because it's them getting out what they know and kind of making those connections and seeing if they truly get it.
And I'll tell you what, after their first self-reflection, where they have to grade themselves and put in writing why they picked what they did, every single one of their notebooks gets a little better.
Right, because they're like, oh.
They get
I have to do this, they know it's coming.
Yeah.
So,
That's all
Do you want me to
right.
show the video where you have the notebook up on your?
yeah, show the video.
Well,
This was the
yeah,
difference, so I can just show them
Yeah,
the
there's,
notebook.
on your own time, look through the site, because there's a lot of resources up
Yeah.
there. But we do wanna show you the,
This was just a non-linguistic thing that I was doing in my room. They were,
go ahead.
we were studying the properties of matter, and as a review to make sure they knew it, they were doing charades, property of matter charades. But what I want to show you is how I have the notebook set up in my room, more than the charades.
It's in the background.
I like charades.
Does anybody have any guesses?
Okay, the background, right? Isn't that where?
Yeah, in the background it's here.
Oh, you draw it out.
I-
As a video.
I have put
That's
tape
fine.
on here,
Oh.
so that I can erase this.
And you can change it so they see daily what.
Daily. So each
Yeah.
day I have down what page number it's on and what goes on that page.
Awesome.
It's got
They're
a,
drawing
it's
it
got
up
a,
already.
yeah, it's got a title here. If you go further, I think in another one, it's over here.
The next one?
I soured, I'll tell you when to stop. The sour taste. Okay, stop here, you can kind of see. For me, and you might want to do something like that too, for every day I have a key question, or not every day, but I have a question of what we're studying. And I don't know if that works for you, but
It could, yeah.
so it's kind of like the
Learning
point of
the
that
focus.
lesson. So, but I have the title, I have the date, and what's gonna go here. And this one, there was a key question, they needed diagrams over here on this side, was a different date, a different title. So each day when they come in, their due now, in a way, is to get out that
Yeah,
notebook
you
and
know,
get it
yes.
ready so that we can go
And it's
get going.
visual, it's right there.
It's
And
right
big,
there.
and it's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, it's big, and then I just have to go in and I just have to erase this part up here and, change the page numbers,
Yeah.
And then you have the sample, your
And I have-
book
yes.
there too. so-
I don't have their work done,
Right.
but what I do is I have the title, the date, the page number. If there's a key question, I write that down, and then I have the instructions that the students get.
Right.
taped in
there.
there.
Okay.
And
So if
I
they're
have
absent,
a
they can
bin.
go right there.
Yeah, so if they're absent, they can go right away, they know what goes where, and they can go get the lab sheets that I have in a bin, which I keep for 30 days.
Yeah.
So,
Reactivity.
I'm sure Suzanne will need a lot more support than
Oh,
me,
yeah.
you know, but, you know, it would be so awesome. If
Yeah,
they
right.
starting in 6th grade, you know, and we go all the way up and it becomes a school thing, that would be
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool.
What's that?
If they started in 6th grade.
Oh my
By
gosh,
eighth-
by the
by
time they
eighth
get to
professionals.
8th grade.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
would
You
be,
wouldn't even have to
We
make
have
the
publishing
commercials.
yeah. But you know, it is good for the ESE kids, they need a lot more support,
Yeah.
a lot of times they get things on the wrong page and you've gotta help them and change it, but, you know, the thing of it is, I've taught ESE for a long time, and most of them, it's like, I know I had that paper somewhere and it's lost forever,
Yeah.
but this way it might not be completed, it
But
might,
it's there.
but it's there. So I find it to be a great organizational skill for
I
our
like it
ESE
too,
kids.
because I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed with papers, because everything's in
In there.
there.
Everything is in there.
Oh, that's
They
right.
do not
They
need
know
a,
where
they
their
don't need a
knowledge
teacher, I
is.
can get it,
It's
it's
all
very,
Then that's something.
And
that
plus
does
the
take a little
kids
while.
get to see, and that's something that I think is really important for the kids, they see their growth from the
The language
start
arts we build, so I'm always like, go back
Yeah.
to page 3, or remember what we
Exactly,
discussed on page
exactly.
3, let's look
Yeah.
at this.
and I do that too. I say, turn to page
Right.
48, that's where we did this lab, and
Right.
look at your lab results, and blah,
It's
blah,
all
blah.
in one
And I flip
place.
to, and it's
all
right
right
there.
there, not like they're writing it.
Everything they learn and everything you're building on, and it's easy, it makes it easier to scaffold, you know, to go from here's what we learned
Yeah,
this, to here's where
absolutely.
we're going, because you've got it right there. So, I feel excited I was able to share something with you,
Oh,
because I
this is
figured I'm not gonna
awesome.
be able to
Thank
share
you.
anything with these guys.
I'm
They're
glad.
just-
No.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
But, just so you know, what we would normally do, again, with the Plickers, sorry, 2 of us, but we would do, you know, another
Like
grade
now,
in
where
here,
do you feel like
okay?
the end of the class?
Now it where, and it would tell me, you know,
The percentage of growth.
but
and all
yeah,
that.
I mean, I would be able to graph it again and see, okay, I know what I had from, I would have jotted down what I had at the beginning, marked it down, and then what do I have at the end of the class? So that would give me an idea, the data that I need to continue on to see how am I gonna address the needs of my kids.
And have either of you done this in a classroom, like full of kids?
Yes,
How long does it take to go around and scan it?
it's very quick.
That's it?
Yep,
Okay.
ask
I was
Joy Nard,
curious.
Joy Nard uses it.
I thought she told me
Yeah,
this.
she uses it, very quick, very quick, you just, and, yeah, just that's, boom.
Yeah.
We already figured out that with my hands, they don't work anymore, I can't even hold one up.
Yeah, if
So
it's shaking,
not
it's
for
not
me.
gonna work.
Yeah.
Alright, so,
Well, can they leave it on their desk like that?
Yes, I think
Oh,
they
yes,
can,
absolutely.
but then you have to walk around, I think the way Anna does it, you could go like that.
if all the students are holding it up, yeah, I mean, I'm just scanning. I'm just, and I'm just,
go to every one.
no, I scan the classroom, see, the kids need to make sure, and that, they'll get used to it, to hold it up with their finger, yeah. Cause you really have to be away from, yeah, and it'll scan it, it'll take it. Okay, there and there, yeah, just so you, I just had to clear it. It really is cool,
That is.
so are there any questions? I mean, I think that,
I'm excited.
Let's do.
Good, I will get
Thank you
you,
very
I will
much.
get you that stuff the first thing of part of next week,
Thank you.
okay?
Yeah.
So, I'll get you
Boys.
Do you have the kids bring them?
I do, but I have a bunch also, because it doesn't matter what supplies I ask them to, they don't have it. Yeah, sticky
That little
notes is,
foldable thing that was,
yeah,
I like that
sticky
too.
notes, and what I do is a lot of times the kids will bring in, one color of sticky note, so then I have them walk around and trade, so that they can get a variety of colors.
Cause I've
So-
only put like a little foldable and like a little flip chart. That's
Yeah,
all
no,
I
I-
put as far as those charts and stuff in mine. But I'd like to do more manipulative stuff,
Yeah,
things like
I
that.
do a lot of, yeah, sticky notes and,
Well,
where was
And
one?
was that, Jan, in the book that you brought, did they have a lot of examples of the different kinds of ways to?
you know, this one,
No, that's all me.
just so you know, this is something that was brought, that I just wanted to show you, some of the other teachers really like this. They like the rubric over on the.
Oh, I like that.
That was a really,
Because then you just mark it right there.
yeah, so that was also, again, nice, easy, you know, you don't have a separate place to grade in,
Yeah.
so.
No, the book I had is more about interactive notebooks, why they work and how to set it up and stuff
Oh,
like that.
Not tonight.
You can go
But
online though
the-
too.
The
I'm
actual,
gonna look for one for Lincoln Drive, they have them, maybe you can purchase them.
yeah, the actual content
Yeah.
is
There's
based
benefits of
on,
what you're doing,
right, it's based,
district and all that.
yeah.
But they surely have, interactive notebook, you know, books
Oh,
for,
they're
for
typing
all
My-
the subject areas.
My like sticky note foldables and stuff like that. Remember when we had
That
the
training.
training with
I
Dinah?
have that somewhere.
Yeah, I have the book and I bought one for science, so I got a couple ideas from that. But basically, no, I get, like, a lot of my labs I do are from middleschoolchemistry.com. You know, so the content is not from that book. The idea of the aha connections and the
Right,
aha
okay.
theses,
I read
that's
about
from there. But the content and whether I'm coming up with a foldable or sticking it, that
Right.
is not from there. But,
Yeah, because this is how I set mine up. So there's a table of contents, basic information, language arts letter, their passwords, input, output, explanation.
We're
entry,
pretty
something like
basic
that.
in sixth grade though. We
But
got
that's
kinda
good.
Sales,
start.
and then,
That's a good
vocabulary.
start,
But that's
I mean, yeah, I
awesome.
mean, that doesn't look,
you know, what I'm noticing is that it takes them so long to do whatever on the right side. Like if
Right,
it's
to
writing
get the
something
info
down,
in
to
there.
get it down,
Right.
it's hard to go, okay, let's do this and do this.
But
and it
like
just
she was
takes
saying,
longer
that's a
than you
two-day,
think.
almost
I
like a
do
two-day
too.
Right.
process.
thing, yeah.
I do
That's what
too.
we might be looking at doing.
and it's hard because
That was
they want
nice.
you to move like this,
I know.
Yeah,
but I can't. First of all, 50 minutes, you don't even have 50 minutes by the time you come in attendance.
right.
So I'm looking at 40 minutes to do a
That's what I
lab
think.
and gather information.
and
I
that's-
can't do that and analysis in
In the
40
same day.
minutes.
No.
I can't.
Yeah.
So I've just stepped back and said, okay, which ones can I leave out and they still get the concepts? And the ones we do really well,
I think that's strength.
you know, so.
Yeah, that's
It's
good.
just-
make sure you guys
Oh,
sign,
yeah.
sign the paper.
But those are really nice, definitely some ideas and
Yeah.
things to input.
Well, good, I'm glad, I'm excited that you got something out of it and I'll get you those pages. Because even if you can order something, it'll probably take a little bit of time to get in.
That's true.
So, this way you can get started right away.
All right,
All right, ladies.
Okay. Do you
need the song?
Thank you guys.
yeah.
Very much. Have a great weekend.
You too. Hey,